One kit, lots of projects. Let's make it happen. Hey Scrap Bosses, I'm back with something a little new here on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. I'm going to use one kit to make multiple projects. But before I jump into that, if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. When you do, click the bell indicator. That way you'll know each and every time a video is posted to this channel. And if you're interested in becoming a Victoria Marie patron, make sure you can check out all that information. The link's posted in the description box. Let's jump into this. So I had a Felicity Jane kit left over. It's called the Sarah kit. And I think this is last month's kit or the month before. I cannot remember. And I made maybe one layout and maybe a card with it, but it was sort of sitting around. And I wanted to challenge myself to use one kit to make multiple projects. So I sat down one afternoon, I went through all of the scraps and all the remaining pattern paper, so you can see them there, very beautiful colors. And I decided I was going to make maybe some more layouts, maybe some cards, and maybe something else. I don't know. I just want to see where I want to go with this, with the point of using up these materials so that I'm ready for my new stuff that comes in, which in fact, at the time that I recorded this video, my new kit came in. So what I'm doing is I'm coordinating all the papers within the kit. And that's the cool thing about coordinating a kit, whether you buy one or you make one of your own, is that generally you're going to have things that coordinate well together. So I'm putting some pattern papers together because I thought, you know what, I'm going to see how many layouts I can make with these full sheets of pattern paper and also the double-sided solid cardstock. Next up, I have this pack of 3x4 journaling cards, and I want to do something with these. So I decided I'm going to use them to make cards with, and you're going to see that here in a little bit. So I'm going through all of these pocket cards, and I'm picking out the ones that I think would make great backgrounds on a greeting card, and then those that would be used on a scrapbook layout for journaling. Next up, I'm going to go through all the embellishments. I'm going to pull some things out just to take inventory of what I have left. And I actually have quite a few die cuts left, which might go a long way, maybe with 2 layouts at the most. But I'm going to see how far I can stretch this. Now, once I go through all of those, I noticed that I have another pack of 3x4 cards, and they look like little cards that you would put inside of a library book. The little checkout cards, which I love, and I might use those if not on any of the projects I make here, but maybe on future projects. I also have some foam words, which I love the script font on this. And what I'm doing, because they're backed with this acetate, I'm going to go ahead and cut them out. And this will allow me to play around with the positioning of these words on a project. And I think I end up using 2, one on a card and one on a layout. And then here in a second, I'm going to show you that I have some stamps. I also have some photo corners I'm going to use and some font stickers that came with the kit as well. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking inventory of what I have and making note of what I can use it for with the projects that I have in mind. So for this purpose, I want to make some scrapbook layouts, I want to make some cards, and I'm going to make some little gift bags, some little small gift bags. So here are all the scraps. And what I'm doing is I'm taking those scraps and some leftover papers. I picked out the papers that I want to use for the scrapbook layouts. And then I also had some cutoffs as well. So with those cutoffs, I went ahead and cut some card bases down. And then I'm going to take my 3x4 pocket cards that I pulled out and I separated to use as layering pieces on my greeting cards. Now, I'm not going to make any cards that are super fancy. When I do a project like this, if I'm trying to use up stuff, then I'm going to make some clean and simple cards, things that I can just pop in a gift real quick and move on, that don't take me a whole lot of time to produce. So what I'm doing is I'm matching up, or coordinating rather, some cards. That hello card is actually a little thank you card from the owner of Felicity Jane that she puts in all of the subscription boxes. So I'm actually going to use that because I love the design and it's already cut down to 3x4. And I'm just trying to see what works. Then with the rest of the cutoffs, I want some more layering pieces for my card. Again, keeping it super simple. So I'm seeing what I already have cut out. I have some strips of paper, I have some solid pattern paper. Those are all the rest of the cutoffs from different projects that I've worked on. Just trying to use it up as best as I can. And I think I end up using a good amount of it. I had some left over and I'll just add that to my stash and use it for something later, or my daughter will dig through it for the little project she likes to work on. This is an excellent exercise if you are in a creative slump or if you just want to be inspired. Or if you're trying to figure out what to do with your paper scraps, if you like making cards and you want to keep it simple, or any other project, you can make tags, you can make really fun things to go into your planner. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do with your paper scraps, make embellishments, punch out shapes. It's a really great way to sort of inspire some creativity. So let's move along to project number 1. This is an 8.5 by 11 layout of my daughter, and she is dressed in her JoJo Siwa dress, and we call that her cupcake dress because she does look like a cupcake in it. We're at Starbucks, and she ordered a strawberry frappuccino and a little cake ball, birthday cake ball, which is pink. And so I wanted to scrap with this because this is, if this If anything describes my daughter, it's this photo, which you'll see a little bit better here in a second. So in the kit, there were some photo corners. So I took some of the yellow photo corners from the little pack and I added those to the ends of my paper. This is a double-sided solid cardstock, comes with the kit. I'm going to place that over that pattern paper because I just want a little bit of that black and white showing behind. Next up, I took a piece of this polka dot pattern paper. That's the B side of the black and white striped paper. I'm going to use that as an anchoring piece for my photo. Then I had some scraps of paper there with that beautiful text design on it. I'm going to go ahead and put that down as a layering piece behind my photo as well. Almost got it stuck there on my photo, but I saved the day. I've done that many a time. So I'm going to go ahead and place one to each side of the photo just to serve as an anchor to bring also more of that black and white in. I'm going to grab this die cut tag, by the way, and I'm going to add some thick black and white twine. Again, just adding those accents of black and white. This is very typical of a Felicity Jane kit. I'm going to go ahead and run that through the hole there at the tag, and I'm going to adhere it to the right-hand side of the photo towards the bottom. Once I get that all done, all wound through, I just go ahead and secure that with a tiny bit of adhesive that I already put on, and I am good to go. I'm going to go ahead and get that mounted there. That's going to serve as an anchor for some other embellishments that I want to bring over. So I have this floral die cut, and I also have a label. I'm going to stamp a sentiment on that label here in just a second, but I'm going to get the floral die cut adhered, and I'm going to grab a little bit of foam so I can back that behind the leaf to add a little bit of dimension. Now, you may have noticed that I haven't sped up my videos in quite a while, probably the last few videos, but I sped this one up because there's a lot going on, and this would have been probably an hour or so long of a video had I kept it at real time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take the label, and I'm going to stamp to that using the stamp set that comes with the kit. It says Choose Happy. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Felicity Jane kits, the kits do come with a stamp set. Every kit comes with a stamp set, and it's fantastic. It's a great value. And all of the items that come in the kit are all exclusive to Felicity Jane. All right, so next up, I'm going to add a little die cut that says hello, which I did that already. And then I'm also going to add another floral die cut. I didn't have too many of these left, and I decided to just go ahead and use them as accents. By the way, there are maybe 2 of these layouts, maybe 3 that I really like, and maybe 1 that I didn't like so much. So I'll get to the ones that I didn't really like. But the stories are told, and that's all that matters. Now I want to address the title, so I'm going to grab one of the foam words that says Sunshine, and my title is going to read Sunshine Girl. So I'm taking the chipboard letters that already have adhesive on them from the Sarah kit, and I'm going to go ahead and spell out the word girl. Getting those all lined up and positioned, good to go. Last step, I'm going to use some of these epoxy dots. I'm going to add those just sort of here and there on the layout. At this point, I don't think it actually really needs those extra epoxy dots, but that's okay. I have them around and I want to use them up, and I still have plenty more that I can use on other projects. Taking my Felicity Jane ruler, I'm going to draw some journaling lines, and of course write in the journaling about my daughter and how much this photo perfectly describes her personality. And there we go. Layout number 1, project number 1 done with the Sarah kit. And I think that turned out great. That's one of my favorite layouts that I've made out of the projects that I used with this kit. Project number 2. Another 8.5 by 11 layout. Got this polka dot background. Had this photo again of my daughter. She's my muse. And we were headed out to science club. And she comes down the stairs and she has her tiara on and her purse and her jewelry. And of course, you know, she's Miss Fashionista. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know my daughter loves fashion. So I definitely want to scrapbook this. Taking some of the branding strips from the pattern paper, the cool thing about this is that on one side it has a design, which is great. So then you can use it on a layout as a border, which I'm doing there. So I'm going to take that multicolored stripe border, put that there to the top. Then I'm going to put, I was trying to decide between the polka dot and then this yellow scallop. The scallop border comes on the double-sided cardstock, the solid cardstock that comes in kit. You get 2 pieces of that. So I went ahead and cut that off because I love the scallop. It's nice and playful. Trim that up, good to go. Next, I'm going to take some 3x4 journaling cards. One has some multicolored stripes. The other one has the word notes, a little rose, and then some lines for journaling. What I want to do is I want to trim this up, and I'm going to place it to the bottom of my layout to make it look like it's coming up from underneath that little border there. So I'm going to get that adhered, and then I'll have a spot for journaling. And then after I get this adhered down, I'm going to add a little clip there just for a little bit of texture. I also have a label, which I believe I'm either going to stamp a sentiment or the date. I'm going to bring my photos over. Those are 3x4 photos that I resized using the Pick Frame app on my iPhone. I'm going to add some adhesive to the first photo, and I'm also going to add some fun foam to the other photo so that stands up, giving a little bit of dimension and height to the layout. Using some score tape on the back of this, I'm going to adhere it to my layout, and I feel that the score tape works well when I'm using foam so that my photo doesn't fall off my layout. Once I have that all done, I have these die cut flowers that I stamped and fussy cut. I shouldn't say die cut. I stamped and fussy cut them out from the stamp set that comes with the kit. And at this point, I'm not quite sure I made the right decision. I wanted to bring in the black and white element, and I like the flowers, but I end up not liking the positioning of at least two of the flowers. So the one that goes there at the top, there's one that's going to go to the right-hand side of the layout. So I'm just cutting these in half. And I'm thinking, while I may not use the flowers in their entirety, I might use them on the card. So I'm going to set those to the side, and we'll see if that ends up happening. Now I have a little bit of die cuts left over from the die cut pack and the kit, not much. So I go ahead and I put down that circle die cut, and I think it says today. And I'm trying to figure out where I want to place it. And it looks cute at the bottom with the cluster, but I felt that I needed something there by the photo. Now, once I put that there, I immediately regret it, but I'm not going to move it out the way because I don't like to think too hard about my layouts. I just like to get them done. So I'm taking the top piece of a journaling card, and I am going to cut out that little banner that has a little heart and put that there to the top right of the layout because I felt that there needed to be something to interrupt that floral design there at the top. Now I'm going to work on the title. So I grab another one of the foam letters as well as some foam letter stickers from Felicity Jane. That's actually from a different kit. And I'm going to spell out Natural Beauty. Get all that positioned, and then I'm going to journal about, of course, my daughter getting ready to go to science club and how she's very much a fashionista. I'm also going to take a hard stamp, and this is where things go awry. So I decide, you know what, I'm going to stamp at the top, and I'm going to stamp again at the top, and then here to the side, and over here to the side, and then down here by the title. I'm just going to keep stamping. Oh, that's not enough, so I'm going to stamp some more, and I keep stamping. And if you're anything like me, you don't know when enough's enough. So when you don't know when enough is enough, you just keep adding more. That's me. So I'm adding all these little heart stamps, and then I'm regretting it. I'm instantly regretting that I'm doing this. But do I do this page over? No, it's done. The story is done. The layout's done. I don't want to waste the product. No one's going to look at this layout and go, girl, you just stamped way too much on this layout. No one's going to do that. So it stays the way it is. Project number 3. So I have some photos of my family and I. We were having dinner with friends last weekend. I'm going to start out by creating a border at the bottom of the layout, and I'm just using some white solid cardstock out of my stash, and of course this branding strip from one of the pattern papers that came with this Felicity Jane kit, and I love, love, love that pattern, the gingham pattern. To that, I'm going to layer some labels, and I'm going to stamp a sentiment, and then eventually I'm going to put the date on there. I also have some of this pattern paper left over from the kit that I cut down into strips and did a little bit of fishtails on them. So I have this navy blue pattern, which is beautiful. It's one of my favorites in the kit. And then I have, let's see, that is a polka dot pattern, and it's a sort of a white, or I'm sorry, not white. It's a teal colored dot against a white background. Then I decided, you know what, I don't want the other banner to be plain blue. So I'm going to go ahead and take a stamp out of the stamp set, again, getting some mileage out of the product that I have. And I'm just going to create my own pattern paper using this floral stamp. It's one of my favorite stamps in the collection. Then I'm going to cut a fishtail so that it mimics the other ones that are already on the page. And this just adds just a tiny bit more pattern as well as some black and white. To that, I'm going to adhere a flower, popping that up using some foam squares just to give that a little bit of elevation there on the layout. Now, my friends and I and my family, we all went to Barnes & Noble just to kind of hang out. That's kind of how we roll. And then we went to Cheesecake Factory. And the funny thing is the kids went up to the hostess desk and they asked for a table of their own and totally forgot about us because they did not want to sit with us parents. So we sat at one table, the kids sat at another. We had a good time. We talked and caught up, and it's just always great to have a meal with your friends. So that's kind of what I'm documenting in this layout. Next, I'm going to create a layer tag tab situation over here to the right-hand side. So I cut down a tag that came with the kit, and then I also punched a tab using my We Are Memory Keepers tab punch. I'm going to work on the title, and the title is going to be Dinner with Friends. And actually, it was sort of in between lunch and dinner, so I'm just going to call it dinner. Call it what it is. All right, so with a different font from another kit, I spelled out dinner with, and then the word friends is spelled with a font that is with the kit, the Sarah kit that I'm using for all of these projects. Then I'm also reaching for another stamp, and it says smile, because I felt that that yellow tab needed a little something. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that right on my tab, and there we go. Working on some journaling lines, so of course I can journal exactly what I just talked about, as having dinner with our friends, went to Barnes & Noble, had a really good time catching up. These are friends that we live close with, but we don't see them that often, so it was good to hang out with them. Now at this point, I'm sort of running out of die cut options, and before I move forward with trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that, I do want to stamp the word currently to one of the bottom labels, and then the blue label I eventually will stamp something on, probably the date, more or less. Okay, so I want to create my own embellishment because I feel the layout needed something else. So I grabbed the Lola stamp set by Felicity Jane, and it has this cute little banner builder, if you will. So you get the outline banner, and then you also get a couple of designs that you can stamp your banner with, which is really cool. So I'm going to get the heart design and the stripe design, stamp that, fussy cut it out, and now I've got some cute embellishments that I can add to my layout. Normally when I'm working with the last bits of a kit, if it comes with a stamp set, like a Felicity Jane stamp set, and it has elements in there that I can use to build out a element of some sort, then I'm going to do that. It's going to give me a lot of mileage. It's going to force me to use materials that I may not get a lot of usage out of. This layout's pretty clean and simple. I didn't do a ton of embellishing because, again, I didn't have a lot of stuff left, but I'm happy with the layout. It serves its purpose. It tells a story. So I'm going to move on. Moving on to the next projects, I'm going to make some greeting cards. Now, in the beginning of the video, I showed you how I took some of the remaining pattern papers, cut some card bases. I'm also going to use some stamps from my stash. Now, when I'm doing this process, I only pick out just a few options in terms of greetings. I also pick out some embossing powder because I love to emboss the greeting on my cards. And then I just work with those options for all of the cards that I'm going to make. That way I'm not going back and forth and wasting time trying to figure out what sentiments I want to use. I already have some elements pulled and I'm good to go. Card number 1, I'm going to use that navy blue floral background. I'm going to add this strip of pattern paper to serve as an anchor for that gingham, that pink gingham check paper. It's really, really pretty. That was the last bit of that paper that I had left, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and round the corners with my corner rounder, get that adhered to the base. And then I'm going to add some foam squares to the back of this die cut circle that I created with, I'm sorry, it's not a die cut circle. I punched a circle out of black cardstock, and then I heat embossed the sentiment, "Thank you, friend." The next card is against this blue gingham background. I also took a piece of scrap paper from the kit that I had left, and I'm going to mount another piece of paper, actually that's a 3x4 card rather, on top of that yellow paper, have that offset layering. Then I took a 3x3 inch square. I used my corner rounder to round 2 of the corners, and then I stamped the sentiment. I'm adding some foam squares to the back of this just to give it a little bit of height and dimension. Again, all of these cards are going to be super simple, but very nice to give to a friend. So that one's done. Next up, in the Felicity Jane kits, they have these little dolls that are representative of the name of the kit. So this is the Sarah doll, and I don't normally use these. I like to save them for whatever reason, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to use them on a greeting card. So I'm going to go ahead and take that piece of gingham paper that was from another project and I didn't use it, this 3x4 journaling card. I'm going to lay that right on top because that's going to serve as an anchor. Then I'm going to bring over the little doll, and she is Sarah. And I'm going to add a little bit of foam there to the back of her. I'm going to get her popped up. I think this will be a cute card to send to somebody. This is going to be a thank you card. Then I have the heat emboss sentiment that says "Thinking of You," adding a couple of foam to that, a little bit more adhesive. And then I'm going to layer that right on top of Sarah. And I think that looks really adorable. I can add something else to that, maybe a ribbon, maybe some enamel dots, but it's good to go. Next up, I'm going to take one of the puffy phrases, and that says "smile," or puffy words, I should say, and it says "smile." Then I have a cut apart piece from a 3x4 card, and I'm going to lay that down as an anchor for the greeting. So the greeting is going to read "Smile for you." And then the "for you" was heat embossed using some black cardstock and some white embossing powder by Recollections, and that one's done. For the next card, I'm going to use this 3x4 pocket card, and this is actually a thank you card that comes with every kit, and I'm going to use that as a layering piece on my card. So I'm going to take some of the double-sided solid cardstock that comes with the Sarah kit. I decided to use the yellow part of that, run it through my border punch to create a nice little scallop border. I'm going to get this positioned on my card base, which I already cut from some of the scrap pattern paper from the kit. Then I'm going to recycle this card because it's so adorable. I'm going to add this little phrase that I went ahead and heat embossed, and that says happy birthday. So the card will say, hello, happy birthday. And with that, we're going to call this card done. Next up, another happy birthday card. So what I did was I stamped a sentiment from a stamp set from my stash, and it says a very happy birthday. And of course, using some pattern paper that I went ahead and pre-selected from the kit, I'm going to go ahead and round the corners of that yellow pattern paper. I'm going to trim up the top just a tiny bit because my little calculations were off. There we go. So that's done. Now I'm going to add the label to, or the greeting rather, and I heat embossed that using some Nuvo black embossing powder, which is some of my favorite. I'm going to adhere that down. I went ahead and punched out or die cut that sentiment out using one of the coordinating dies that goes with that stamp. The next card is going to say thanks from the bottom of my heart. Again, using a stamp set from my stash, I'm going to cut down a piece of the solid double-sided solid cardstock. I'm also going to round the corners on two sides of that 3x4 pocket card that came with the kit. I went ahead and stamped the sentiment from the bottom of my heart, and then I heat embossed using some black cardstock and some white embossing powder from Recollections, the word thanks. I'm going to pop that up on some foam squares, put that there to the top, have a completed card. Now the cards are done, I'm going to make some little thank you pockets. I guess that's what you call them, little thank you bags, thank you pockets. These pockets measure a little bit over 3x4, and I had them in my stash, and I knew I wanted to do something with it because I'm always sending out a thank you to someone. So I thought it'd be fun maybe to decorate these with some pattern paper. I also used one stamp, some black cardstock, and some white heat embossing powder to stamp the word thank you. So whenever I need to send something off, I want to put a little bit of candy in there, maybe a little note or something, then I can go ahead and do that. I have those all made up, ready to go. I felt that these needed just a little something else, so I grabbed some of my thick twine, and I'm going to tie a bow that's going to go to the top of these tags, and I'm going to adhere them using some adhesive dots. So overall, I was able to make 13 projects from this one kit. One of the layouts was not shown in this video because I had made it for one of my classes, and here it is. It's a 2-page 8.5 by 11 layout, and this was with my Sketch Like a Boss class, if you're interested in that. So featured in this video is this layout. It is not my favorite, but you know what? It's going to go on the album, and I'm going to call it done. This one, however, this 8.5 by 11 is one of my favorites, and I just love the way that came out. The next layout, I thought I had video footage of it, so I'm just going to pop a photo here. This is the 12 by 12 layout. This was the last one that I made. Of course, I was getting to the very end of my supplies, and I was trying to make it stretch, and I think it came out pretty cute. Of course, I have these little thank you pockets that are going to be super fun to give as gifts. And from the remaining pieces of the kit, I was able to create 7 cards, and the trick to this is to keep it simple, right? Your cards that you make handmade don't have to be souped up, right? They don't have to be super fancy. You can put together some coordinating pattern papers left from your kit, grab some sentiment stamps, and you are good to go. Lastly, this is what I have left of the kit. So I have those photo corners I can use on other projects, very, very little of those die cuts. I do have a lot of the epoxy dots, some 3x4 cards, not too many of those. I can use those on other projects. And of course, the stamp sets are always, always fun to reuse over and over and over again. I have some puffy titles that I'll use for other projects. That was actually not in that Sarah kit, but this one is that chipboard alpha. And here's the remaining paper that I have left out of the entire kit. And I'm just going to stick this in my stash. And I like to pull these little small papers when I'm working on projects with my daughter. And then just a few pieces of that double solid cardstock that I can use for mounting and layering. So there we have it, one kit and multiple projects. If you like this, make sure you comment, give this a thumbs up, let me know, and I'll probably do this again with another kit really soon. And if you want to see pictures of all of these projects, head on over to the Victoria Marie blog. The link is posted down in the description box below. This video was made possible by the Victoria Marie Scrap Boss patrons. If you want to learn more, click on the link down below. And hey, before you head out, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click the bell indicator. That way you'll know each and every time a new video is posted to this channel. Thanks for joining me.